Let's start with a question. How often do you find yourself reaching for something sweet? Maybe it's a mid-morning snack, that afternoon pick-me-up, or a dessert after dinner. We've all been there, right? That quick burst of energy, that little moment of indulgence. It feels good in the moment, comforting even. But have you ever stopped to think about what happens after that sugar hits your bloodstream? Sure, it gives you that rush, but what about the crash that comes right after? And more importantly, what happens to your body and mind when you cut sugar out of the equation entirely? I'm sure you've heard a lot about sugar, the good, the bad, the ugly. You know it's linked to weight gain, to diabetes, to heart disease, and so much more. It's not exactly news that sugar is a major player in the health problems we're facing today. But here's the thing, how much do we really understand about the effect of sugar on our bodies? And what really happens when we decide to quit it? I'll be honest with you, I used to be one of those people who couldn't imagine going a day without something sweet. A cookie, a chocolate bar, or just a sugary drink to wash it all down. It wasn't even about the indulgence, really. It was more like a habit, something ingrained in my routine. The first thing in the morning, coffee with sugar. The last thing before bed, something sweet to wind down. It's a comfort, it's a pattern, it's what we're used to. But after reading about all the long-term effects sugar has on our bodies, I started to question it. I started thinking, what if I didn't need it? What if my energy levels didn't need to come from sugar spikes and crashes? And what if I could feel better without it? What would that feel like? How would it change my mood, my health, even my life? I'm sure, like many people, you've probably tried cutting sugar before. Maybe for a week, maybe for a few days. And let me guess, your first few days were rough. You felt moody, tired, and let's be honest, you probably had some intense cravings, didn't you? That's normal. The body doesn't like to be deprived of what it's used to, and sugar has a way of creeping into every part of our lives without us even realizing it. But here's the real kicker. After that initial period of discomfort, something amazing starts to happen. You begin to feel lighter, clearer, and surprisingly, more energized. Think about it. When was the last time you felt truly energized without reaching for a sugary snack? We live in a world where quick fixes and instant gratification are the norm. We crave that instant energy boost, that quick lift. But what if I told you that sugar, the very thing we turn to for a quick pick-me-up, is also the reason we crash so hard right after? And what if I told you that quitting sugar could actually give you the energy you've been looking for, without the highs and lows? But this isn't just about energy, it's about your health, your long-term health. Sugar has a far more insidious impact than just making us feel tired. It affects everything, from your waistline to your heart, to your mind and beyond. And the truth is, most of us don't even realize how much it's taking a toll on our bodies until we take a step back and remove it from our lives. Here's something to think about. The average person in the US consumes over 150 pounds of sugar a year. That's 152 pounds of sugar every single year, more than a pound of sugar per day. And when you think about it like that, it starts to add up. All those little snacks here and there, the sugary beverages, the hidden sugars and processed foods, we don't even realize how much we're consuming. And this isn't just a matter of gaining a few pounds here and there. It's a bigger picture. It's about how our bodies are being fueled, how our insulin is spiking, how our cells are struggling to keep up with all the sugar we're throwing at them. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I love sugar. It makes me feel good, and I get that. I really do. Sugar has this incredible way of making us feel good in the moment. It's a quick fix, and we're wired to love it. But the problem is that, over time, our bodies begin to build a tolerance to sugar, and we need more of it to get the same effect. That's why we end up eating more and more, chasing that same rush, but never quite getting there. And eventually, our body starts to rebel. We gain weight, our energy levels tank, our mood swings become more intense, and it gets harder and harder to feel our best. What happens when we quit sugar, though? Well, it's not an overnight change. It's not like you wake up the next day and suddenly feel like a new person. But there's something incredible that happens after the first few days, the first week even. Your body starts to reset. You'll feel less bloated. Your digestion improves. And those sugar cravings, they start to fade. You know what else fades? The energy crashes. When you stop eating sugar, your body stops depending on those quick fixes. Instead, you start running on a more stable fuel source, your own fat stores. And that's a game changer. But here's the part I find most fascinating. Once you get through that initial withdrawal phase, once you make it past the cravings and the sluggishness, you start to experience something profound. You feel clear. Your energy stabilizes. You stop feeling so controlled by food. It's like a fog lifts, and you begin to realize just how much sugar was affecting you all along. It's subtle, but it's powerful. And here's the best part. Once you get through that transition, quitting sugar isn't just about cutting something out. It's about gaining so much more. You gain better sleep, clearer skin, more consistent energy levels, and a better mood. Your body starts functioning the way it's supposed to, without being constantly overwhelmed by sugar's effects. So, why does all of this matter? It's simple. It matters because, just like me, you deserve to feel your best. You deserve to have energy that doesn't come with a crash, a body that works for you, and a mind that feels clear and focused. Quitting sugar isn't about deprivation. It's about liberation. It's about taking control of your health and breaking free from the cycle of sugar dependence that so many of us are caught in. And trust me, when you make that choice, when you take that step, you'll never look back. Let that sit with you for a moment. What would your life look like if you didn't feel the need to reach for that sugary snack every time you needed a boost? What could you accomplish with the energy you'd gain, the focus you'd have, and the confidence that comes from knowing you're making a choice that benefits your long-term health? That's what we're diving into today. What really happens when you quit sugar, and why it's a decision you might want to consider for your health, your body, and your life. As we go deeper into this, I want you to think about this question. What would life look like if you felt in control instead of constantly being controlled by your cravings? Keep that thought in the back of your mind as we explore the powerful impact quitting sugar can have on your body and your health. All right? So, let's dive deeper into what happens to your body when you quit sugar. I want you to picture yourself for a moment. Maybe you've made the decision, or maybe you're just considering it. You've taken that first step. You've cut sugar out, or at least cut it way back. The first couple of days are, let's just say, less than easy. You're craving it, right? The sweet treats, the chocolate, those mid-afternoon snacks that you've always turned to. Your body's used to it. Sugar's been a regular part of your life for so long, and your body, being the creature of habit that it is, starts throwing a tantrum. It's like, wait a second, where's my sugar? You might feel a little off, a little irritable, a little tired. You might even get some headaches, which, let me tell you, is no fun. That's what happens when you quit sugar. It's not all smooth sailing at first. The withdrawal symptoms are real. But the thing is, this is your body beginning to detoxify, to reset itself. It's your system finally starting to break free from the grips of sugar. It might feel uncomfortable, but trust me, it's a good sign. So, what's really going on inside your body when you take that sugar out of the equation? Well, let's start with something that happens fairly quickly. Your blood sugar levels. We all know that sugar spikes your blood sugar. It's that rush of energy, that burst of feel-good vibes that comes right after you eat something sweet. But here's the kicker. As soon as that sugar hits, it doesn't just give you a rush. It sends your insulin levels soaring too. Insulin is the hormone that helps your body store energy. And when you eat sugar, insulin jumps into action to try to get your blood sugar levels back in balance. The problem is, over time, this constant up and down of blood sugar and insulin can wear your system down. It's like constantly running a marathon without resting. Now, when you quit sugar, your blood sugar levels begin to stabilize. That means less of those dramatic highs and lows that you're used to. Instead, your body starts relying on a much steadier source of energy, fat. Yes, your own fat. It's like your body finally figures out that it doesn't need to rely on sugar for a quick burst of energy. And instead, it starts tapping into your fat stores. That's when the magic starts to happen. You're not just burning sugar anymore, you're burning fat. At first, this shift might feel a little slow, but over time, your body gets better at utilizing fat for energy. And not just any fat, it's your body fat. This is one of the most powerful benefits of cutting sugar. Your body starts to tap into its reserves, its backup plan for energy, and you begin to lose weight in a way that's sustainable. It's not a quick fix, but it's real, lasting change. But it's not just about weight loss. There's something deeper going on. Remember those crashes you'd feel after a sugary snack? That low energy, that sluggish feeling when the sugar rush fades away? Well, when you quit sugar, those crashes start to disappear. You feel more energized, more focused, and honestly, just more stable. You're no longer dependent on that sugar spike to get through the day. And that means you've got more consistent energy, not just in the afternoons, but all day long. Here's where it gets interesting though. Quitting sugar doesn't just affect your body in terms of energy, it affects your whole metabolic system. Your body starts to become more insulin sensitive, which means it gets better at processing food, using it for energy, and avoiding the storage of fat. That's important because insulin resistance is a key player in many of the chronic health problems we face today. Diabetes, heart disease, and metabolic syndrome are all linked to insulin resistance. So, when you cut sugar, you're essentially giving your body a chance to recalibrate, to reset itself, and improve its ability to handle the food you eat in a healthier way. But let's talk about something else for a second: your gut. That's right, your gut. We often overlook how much our digestive system is affected by sugar. You might not realize it, but sugar feeds the bad bacteria in your gut. It encourages the growth of harmful bacteria, which can cause inflammation, bloating, and all kinds of digestive issues. When you quit sugar, your gut starts to change. The balance of bacteria in your stomach shifts. The bad bacteria don't have sugar to thrive on anymore. And over time, the good bacteria start to take over. This shift can lead to better digestion, fewer cravings, and, believe it or not, even clearer skin. Speaking of skin, did you know that cutting sugar can actually help improve your complexion? Sugar has been linked to acne and other skin issues. It spikes your insulin, which then triggers an increase in androgens, the hormones that can stimulate oil production in your skin. More oil means more breakouts. When you quit sugar, your insulin levels start to balance out, which means fewer breakouts and healthier looking skin. It's one of those things that might not seem huge at first, but when you look at the big picture, it makes a world of difference. But here's the part that really blew me away when I started looking into the effects of quitting sugar: your brain. We've talked about how sugar affects your body, but sugar has a huge impact on your mind too. You've probably experienced this firsthand, those mood swings when you're on a sugar high, followed by the inevitable crash. It's like your brain is on a roller coaster ride, and your emotions are right there with it. When you quit sugar though, you start to notice a shift. Your mood becomes more stable, your focus improves, and you start to feel more clear-headed. That's because sugar isn't just a quick source of energy for your body. It's a quick fix for your brain too. Your brain loves sugar, it craves it. But when you remove it from the equation, something fascinating happens. Your brain starts to rely on other sources of fuel. Instead of burning sugar, it starts using ketones, a byproduct of fat breakdown. This process is actually called ketosis, and it's a natural way for your body to get energy when sugar is in short supply. Ketosis is often linked to low-carb diets like keto. But here's the thing: when you quit sugar, you're naturally helping your body shift into ketosis. And that has some amazing benefits for mental clarity and cognitive function. I want you to think about how often you felt foggy, sluggish, or just not on mentally. Now, imagine that fog starting to lift. That's what quitting sugar can do for your brain. You begin to feel more focused, more alert, and even more creative. It's like the mental cobwebs clear up, and you're finally able to think more clearly. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows in the beginning. Remember, quitting sugar is a process. You're asking your body to unlearn some deeply ingrained habits. The cravings are real, especially in the first few days or even weeks. You might find yourself thinking about that candy bar or that sugary drink you always have after lunch. That's your body and your brain still adjusting to life without sugar. But here's the beauty of it. Once you get past that initial hurdle, your cravings start to fade. It's like your body realizes, hey, I can function just fine without this constant sugar hit. Your taste buds even change. What once seemed bland or unsatisfying without sugar actually starts to taste good. Fruit becomes sweet. Coffee tastes richer without sugar. And you start to rediscover flavors you never even noticed before. And here's something that I think is so powerful. When you cut sugar out, you're not just cutting out a food group. You're making a choice, a decision to take control of your health. Sugar is everywhere in our modern world, and it's easy to forget just how much power it holds over us. But when you quit it, you're reclaiming that power. You're saying no to those constant sugar spikes and crashes. You're saying yes to more stable energy, clearer skin, better digestion, and a stronger metabolism. The beauty of quitting sugar is that it's not just about the immediate changes. It's about what happens over time. As your body starts to recalibrate, you start to see the bigger picture. It's not just about losing weight or feeling better in the moment. It's about giving your body a chance to reset, to function the way it was meant to. And when you do that, you start to unlock a whole new level of energy, health, and vitality that you never even knew was possible. So, what happens to your body when you quit sugar? It gets a chance to heal, to thrive, and to become the healthiest version of itself. And that's a pretty powerful thing, isn't it? All right, let's dive into something that doesn't get talked about nearly enough when it comes to quitting sugar: the psychological effects. We spend a lot of time focusing on the physical side of things, losing weight, reducing inflammation, balancing blood sugar levels, and those things are important, of course. But I want to talk about something deeper, something that hits close to home for a lot of us. How does cutting out sugar really affect our mind? How does it change the way we think, feel, and even the way we interact with the world around us? Now, I know you've probably heard about sugar's impact on our bodies, but have you ever considered how deeply sugar impacts our mental health? It's easy to think about sugar as just a treat, just something we indulge in when we want a little happiness. But in reality, sugar has a much stronger grip on us than we give it credit for. It's not just feeding our body, it's feeding our brain. And when we quit it, the effects go beyond just feeling physically better. The psychological shifts are real. Let's talk about cravings first. You've probably experienced them. Those intense moments when you're hit with an overwhelming desire for something sweet. It's not just a mild wish, it's a full-on craving, a need, almost like your body is screaming for that sugar hit. That's not just you being weak or indulgent, that's your brain responding to a very real biochemical process. Sugar, in its many forms, activates the reward centers in our brain, releasing chemicals like dopamine. Dopamine is often referred to as the feel-good neurotransmitter. It's the same chemical released when we accomplish something or experience something pleasurable, like a hug, a great meal, or even when we're rewarded with something we desire. When we eat sugar, we get that same dopamine hit, which is why it feels so satisfying in the moment. But here's the thing. Over time, our brains start to crave more of that dopamine. The more sugar we consume, the more our brain begins to expect it. And not just sugar itself, but anything that gives us that quick, instant pleasure. The more often we get that hit of dopamine, the more our brain wires itself to expect it, to demand it. This creates a cycle, an emotional and psychological dependency. We end up reaching for sugar, not just because we're hungry, but because our brain has been trained to want that quick reward. Now, picture this. You've decided to cut out sugar, whether it's for a day, a week, or even longer. The first few days are tough. You're probably fighting those cravings. And this is where things get interesting. The initial cravings you experience after quitting sugar aren't just physical, they're psychological. Your brain is used to getting that hit of dopamine every time you eat something sweet. When you take that away, it's almost like your brain is going through withdrawal. And let me tell you, it's not a small thing. This is why some people report feeling grumpy, anxious, or even depressed during the early stages of quitting sugar. Your brain has to adjust. It has to learn to function without that constant dopamine boost. This process of adjusting can feel frustrating. It can feel like you're fighting an uphill battle. And there's a reason for that. The brain doesn't like change, especially when it comes to something as ingrained as sugar. But here's the flip side of that. Once you push through the cravings, once you get through that withdrawal phase, your brain starts to rewire itself. Instead of craving sugar for a dopamine boost, it starts looking for other, healthier sources of reward. You start noticing small wins, like getting through a tough day without sugar, or feeling more focused at work, or even just having more energy. Your brain begins to find satisfaction in things other than sugar. But I want to be honest with you here. This isn't an easy transition. Your brain is going to fight you, especially at first. It's going to throw tantrums, so to speak, because you've taken away its favorite fix. And this is where things can get emotional. Sugar, for many people, isn't just a food, it's a comfort. It's something that's been there for us during tough times. Think about it. How often do we turn to something sweet when we're stressed, sad, or just in need of a little comfort? It's like our brains have been trained to associate sugar with soothing our emotions. And when you take that comfort away, there's a hole. There's an emotional void that you now need to fill with something else. That's why, during the first few weeks of cutting out sugar, you might feel more irritable, anxious, or even emotionally flat. It's not just physical, it's psychological too. But here's the good news. As your body adjusts, you start to fill that emotional void with healthier habits. You might find yourself reaching for a cup of herbal tea instead of a sugary snack. You might start taking a walk when you feel stressed instead of grabbing a candy bar. Your brain begins to relearn how to cope with emotions without relying on sugar. And that's a huge shift, one that makes a massive difference to your long-term mental health. Speaking of mental health, have you ever noticed how sugar can affect your mood? One of the most common complaints people have when they eat sugar regularly is the mood swings. You're high, you're feeling good, and then, boom, the crash hits. It's like someone flipped a switch. You go from feeling great to feeling irritable, tired, or even depressed. This roller coaster of highs and lows doesn't just affect your energy levels, it affects your emotions. It's like riding a wave, but the wave is always unpredictable. When you quit sugar, that constant emotional roller coaster starts to flatten out. Your mood stabilizes. You stop feeling like a prisoner to those sugar crashes. And you know what? You start to feel more in control of your emotions. You're not constantly battling your energy levels or riding the highs and lows of sugar anymore. Your mood becomes more balanced, more consistent. It's a kind of mental clarity that many people don't realize is possible until they experience it. But here's the thing, even beyond mood swings, quitting sugar can have a profound effect on your mental clarity and focus. I've heard so many people talk about how much more sharp they feel, how much more focused they are in their work and personal lives after cutting out sugar. You see, sugar isn't just affecting our energy, it's affecting our cognitive function too. The highs and lows of blood sugar can lead to brain fog, difficulty concentrating, and even feelings of mental fatigue. When you cut out sugar, your brain starts to function more smoothly. You're not dealing with that roller coaster anymore. You can think more clearly, you're more focused, and your memory even improves. You'd be amazed at how much more mentally present you feel without sugar clouding your mind. And I get it, cutting out sugar isn't just about physical cravings and mental fog. It's also about how we relate to food emotionally. Sugar is often tied to comfort, celebration, and even social situations. It's part of our culture. How many birthdays have you celebrated with cake? How many holidays are defined by dessert spreads? Food, and sugar in particular, becomes deeply intertwined with emotions, and quitting sugar can feel like you're losing a piece of that comfort. But here's the thing I want you to understand. You're not actually losing comfort when you cut out sugar. You're creating a new kind of comfort. It's the kind of comfort that comes from feeling in control of your choices. It's the kind of comfort that comes from knowing you're doing something positive for your body and mind. It's not about deprivation, it's about freedom. The freedom to break free from those emotional food patterns and create new habits that serve you in a healthier way. And if we're being honest here, quitting sugar can also give you a sense of empowerment. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself that you wanted to quit sugar, but never actually followed through? We all know how tough it can be, but when you actually do it, when you make it through the cravings, the withdrawal, and the emotional battles, you start to realize that you have the power to change. You have the power to take control of your body and your mind. And that's not just about sugar, it's about everything in life. When you learn to master something like quitting sugar, you start to feel like you can tackle anything. So yeah, quitting sugar can be challenging, but it's also one of the most rewarding things you can do for your mind. You'll feel more in control, more balanced, and more mentally sharp. You'll start to break free from the emotional grip sugar has on you. And that's something that not only changes your physical health, but your psychological health too. It's a mental reset, a new way of thinking, feeling, and living. Now, let me ask you, what would it feel like to break free from that constant cycle of cravings, crashes, and emotional eating? What would it look like for you to take control of your mental and emotional health, one sweet-free day at a time? It's a powerful shift, and I promise you, it's worth every bit of the effort. Let's talk about something that, for many of us, is probably the most rewarding part of quitting sugar: the health benefits. Sure, we've discussed the psychological shift, how your brain clears up, how you feel more in control, and even how your emotions level out a bit. But now, let's dive into the tangible, life-changing benefits that you're setting yourself up for when you kick sugar to the curb. I want you to think for a second about the way we've been conditioned as a society to think about food. You know what I mean, right? The way we grab a quick snack or a sweet treat without thinking twice. Sugar's everywhere. It's in our coffee, our sauces, even in savory foods that you wouldn't expect it. It's no wonder we're in the middle of a health crisis. Obesity rates are climbing, type 2 diabetes is affecting millions, and people are feeling more sluggish and less energized than ever before. But here's the thing. When you take sugar out of the equation, your body starts to change in ways that you might not even realize. And those changes, they're powerful. They're life-changing. For starters, you're going to notice something pretty quickly. Your energy levels. Now, we've all had that moment, right? You eat a sugary snack, and for a few minutes, you feel like you can take on the world. That energy surge is like a temporary high. But what happens next? You crash. Hard. You're tired, sluggish, irritable. Sound familiar? When you quit sugar, that roller coaster ride of energy levels disappears. Instead of constant spikes and crashes, your energy becomes steady, predictable, and, here's the best part, sustainable. Without those sugar crashes, you'll find that you're no longer reaching for that afternoon pick-me-up. You feel more energized throughout the day, and not in that jittery, I've had too much coffee way. It's a natural, calm energy that lasts, which makes such a difference in your productivity and how you show up in your daily life. Let's talk about weight loss for a moment, because let's face it, it's one of the biggest reasons people turn to diets, and it's definitely a huge reason many people decide to quit sugar. Sugar, especially the refined kind, is a huge culprit in weight gain. Think about it. Sugar doesn't just give your body quick energy, it also encourages your body to store fat. It messes with your metabolism and creates an environment where your body is constantly storing fat instead of burning it. But once you cut out sugar, your metabolism starts to shift. It's like your body is given a green light to burn fat for fuel. Instead of constantly trying to handle all that sugar, your body starts using its own fat stores for energy. And that, my friend, is where the real magic happens. Your body becomes a fat-burning machine. The weight starts to come off, not because you're starving yourself or depriving yourself, but because your metabolism is finally able to function the way it was designed to. You don't need to constantly snack on high sugar foods to feel full or satisfied. Your body is satisfied with what it's getting, and it knows how to use it for energy. It's not about eating less, it's about eating smarter. And guess what? This isn't just about shedding a few pounds for the summer or getting into a smaller size. This is about long-term sustainable health. But let's not stop there. We've all heard the term inflammation, right? It's one of those buzzwords that you hear in every health conversation. And we all know that inflammation is linked to a ton of serious health issues. Heart disease, arthritis, diabetes, autoimmune conditions. Sugar, as it turns out, is one of the biggest contributors to chronic inflammation in the body. When you eat sugar, it triggers an inflammatory response. Your immune system kicks into overdrive, trying to deal with the excess sugar in your bloodstream. But here's the problem. When this goes on over time, that chronic low-level inflammation can wreak havoc on your body. It can damage your blood vessels, increase your risk of chronic diseases, and even make you feel more sluggish and tired. When you quit sugar, that chronic inflammation starts to settle down. Your immune system doesn't have to work overtime anymore, and that's a huge relief for your body. In fact, studies have shown that people who reduce their sugar intake can experience a significant decrease in markers of inflammation. It's like giving your body permission to rest and heal. It starts to repair itself, and you begin to feel the difference. Your joints feel less stiff, your skin clears up, and your overall sense of well-being improves. It's like a reset button for your immune system. And then, there's the skin. We don't often think about how food affects our skin, but sugar is a big culprit in skin issues like acne, rosacea, and premature aging. When you consume sugar, it actually accelerates the aging process of your skin. It triggers something called glycation, which is when sugar molecules bind to proteins in your body, including collagen and elastin. These are the proteins that keep your skin looking youthful and firm. When they're damaged by sugar, your skin starts to lose its elasticity, leading to wrinkles and sagging. But when you cut sugar out of your diet, you're doing your skin a huge favor. Your body can now repair those collagen fibers without interference from sugar. And over time, your skin starts to look more vibrant, clearer, and more youthful. You might even notice fewer breakouts or redness. It's like your body is healing from the inside out. And this isn't just some short-term benefit. The longer you go without sugar, the more dramatic the changes become. Your skin starts to glow in a way that feels natural and healthy. Now, I'm sure you're wondering about one of the most common things people associate with quitting sugar, the risk of blood sugar imbalances and the dreaded sugar cravings. So, let's tackle that. When you quit sugar, there's a period of adjustment, sure. Your body is used to that quick sugar fix, and at first, it might feel like a little rebellion is going on. But over time, as your body adjusts, you'll notice something amazing. Your blood sugar levels stabilize. Instead of constantly fluctuating with each sugary snack, your body learns to maintain a steady balance. This is huge, especially for people who have been dealing with blood sugar spikes and crashes. When your blood sugar levels are stable, you're less likely to feel the intense cravings that used to plague you. And the reason for that is simple. Your body isn't relying on sugar anymore to maintain its energy levels. It's switched over to burning fat, and fat is a much steadier, more reliable fuel source. You stop feeling those constant cravings for something sweet because your body is functioning more efficiently, and your brain isn't constantly asking for that dopamine fix. Let's talk about another thing you probably didn't expect: your heart. Heart disease is the leading cause of death worldwide, and sugar is one of the biggest contributors to heart problems. When you eat too much sugar, it contributes to the buildup of fat around your organs, especially your liver. That fat doesn't just sit there, it actively contributes to high blood pressure, higher cholesterol, and an increased risk of heart disease. But when you quit sugar, your body begins to shed that excess fat. It's not just weight you're losing, it's the fat that's been contributing to higher cholesterol and blood pressure. Your heart gets stronger, your blood pressure starts to normalize, and you start to feel like you're finally giving your heart the care it deserves. But here's the kicker. When you quit sugar, your body begins to heal on a level you can't see right away. The internal improvements, the things that are happening inside your cells, in your organs, in your bloodstream, they're profound. Over time, you're reducing your risk of chronic diseases like type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and even cancer. You're giving your body the chance to reset, to recalibrate, and to function the way it was meant to. You're not just losing weight or feeling better in the moment. You're setting yourself up for a longer, healthier life. So yeah, quitting sugar is a challenge, but the benefits, they're immense. More energy, weight loss, reduced inflammation, better skin, stabilized blood sugar, a healthier heart. You're not just doing your body a favor for today. You're creating a foundation for a healthier future. When you think about it like that, those initial cravings and those temporary struggles become worth it. Because what you're really doing is giving yourself the gift of a healthier, more vibrant life. And that's a gift that's absolutely worth the effort. So I want you to ask yourself, what would it feel like to wake up every day with steady energy, knowing you're giving your body exactly what it needs to thrive? What would it be like to look in the mirror and see not just the physical changes, but the glow of good health, the glow of a body that's thriving, not just surviving? That's what quitting sugar can do for you. And the best part? It's just the beginning. Let's talk about the challenges of quitting sugar. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it, pun intended. This part is probably where most people get stuck, or where they start to feel like giving up. After all, we're talking about something that's in everything. It's everywhere. Packaged foods, drinks, even things you wouldn't expect, like sauces or salad dressings. It's not just the occasional treat anymore. Sugar is woven into the fabric of our daily lives. So when you decide to take that step and give it up, it's not just a walk in the park. Let's start with something we can all relate to: cravings. Oh, the cravings. They're real, they're relentless, and they'll catch you off guard. Have you ever gone on a diet and thought, "This time I've got this," only to find yourself standing in front of your kitchen pantry at 10 p.m., mindlessly reaching for that last piece of chocolate or the leftover cake from dinner? It's like you're not even hungry, but your body is telling you to eat it anyway. That's the sugar talking. When you quit sugar, those cravings don't magically vanish. No, they'll still come for you, especially in the first few days and weeks. It's almost like your body is in a battle with your mind, trying to convince you that you need it, that just one little bite won't hurt. But here's the thing. Sugar has an almost addictive quality. It's not just about satisfying hunger. It's about your brain getting that little dopamine hit every time you indulge. And when you take sugar away, your brain is like, wait, where's my reward? Where's that hit? It feels a little like withdrawal from something, because in a way, it is. Your brain is so used to that quick burst of pleasure that when it doesn't get it, things start to feel off. Your energy might dip, your mood might shift, and suddenly, you start questioning your decision. Maybe just a little piece, right? But trust me, you're not giving into a momentary lapse of willpower. It's your brain being conditioned to want that instant gratification. And it's a fight. But the truth is, it's all temporary. The cravings, the mental fog, the irritability, It's all part of the process. The first few days, maybe even the first week, are the hardest. And I know how it goes. Those moments when you're at work and your coworker offers you a piece of cake, or you're out with friends and the dessert menu arrives. The temptation is real, and sometimes it feels like the universe is testing you. But this is where the real strength comes in. Because quitting sugar isn't just about food. It's about breaking habits, rewiring your brain, and changing how you deal with comfort, stress, or even boredom. And when you realize that you can get through those moments without caving in, you start to feel this sense of pride, this sense of control that you didn't know you had before. But the cravings aren't the only challenge. Oh no, social situations are another biggie. Let's talk about that for a second. Because there's something about sugar that just seems to be tied to every celebration, every social gathering, every happy moment. Birthdays, holidays, anniversaries, you name it, sugar is right there, front and center. So, when you've decided to quit, suddenly you're the odd one out. People are looking at you like, what do you mean you're not having cake? It's your birthday. Come on, just a little slice. And it's hard, isn't it? It's like, how do you explain to people that you're not just trying to be difficult, that you're not being a party pooper, but you're trying to make a serious change for the better? There's this pressure that we put on ourselves to conform, to blend in, especially when everyone around us is indulging. But the reality is, this is a reflection of a bigger cultural issue. Sugar has become ingrained in our celebrations, in our social rituals. It's tied to how we connect with people, how we bond, how we share joy. And when you take that out of the equation, you might feel like you're missing something, like you're somehow disconnected from the people around you. It's tough, I get it. But here's the kicker. You're not really missing out. You're stepping into a better, healthier version of yourself. The true celebration should be about how you feel when you take control, not about the temporary pleasure of a sugary treat. And then there's the physical side of things, the withdrawal symptoms. This is probably something people don't talk about enough, but when you quit sugar, especially if you've been eating a lot of it, your body goes through some real adjustments. You might feel sluggish or foggy for the first couple of days. You might get headaches or even feel a little dizzy, especially if your body is used to the sugar spikes and drops. Some people even report feeling low energy, like their body is dragging itself through the motions. These withdrawal symptoms are a result of your body craving the sugar it's used to. And when it doesn't get that sugar, it gets a little confused. I remember a time when I tried cutting back on sugar. The first few days were brutal. It felt like I was moving through quicksand. My energy was down. I had this nagging headache that wouldn't go away. And I felt emotionally all over the place. I wanted to throw in the towel. But it was one of those moments where I had to remind myself that this discomfort was just temporary. My body was in detox mode, and just like with any detox, the process of clearing out the old toxins makes you feel worse before you feel better. But here's the thing. The withdrawal symptoms, they don't last forever. Once your body adapts to functioning without that regular dose of sugar, those symptoms start to fade. You start feeling like yourself again, but in a more balanced way. The fog clears, the energy returns, and you feel better than you have in a long time. There's another challenge that not a lot of people talk about: emotional triggers. We all have those moments in life where we feel stressed, anxious, or upset, right? And what do? We reach for comfort food. More specifically, we reach for sugar. It's easy, it's comforting, and it works, temporarily. It gives us that emotional boost, that momentary escape from stress. But when you cut sugar out, you have to find new ways to cope. And that's a huge shift, isn't it? It's not just about saying no to cake. It's about learning how to deal with life's challenges without turning to sugar for comfort. It's a process of reprogramming. Instead of reaching for a cookie when you're stressed, you start reaching for something else. Maybe it's a walk, or a cup of herbal tea, or just a deep breath. These new coping mechanisms take time to develop, but over time, they replace those sugar cravings. And it's not just about avoiding sugar. It's about finding healthier ways to manage your emotions. And finally, let's not forget about the societal influence. It's one thing to make the decision to quit sugar on your own, but what happens when the people around you don't share the same goal? Family, friends, co-workers, they all play a role in shaping your environment. And when they're all indulging in sugary snacks while you're trying to stay strong, it can feel isolating. It's like you're standing alone in this battle. There's a lot of external pressure to give in, but here's where it's important to remember your why. Why did you decide to quit sugar in the first place? Is it because you want to feel better, to have more energy, to take care of your health? Keep that at the forefront of your mind. You're not alone in this, even if it feels that way sometimes. Your decision to quit sugar is a personal one, and that's what matters. Now, I know this journey isn't going to be easy, but the truth is, the challenges are all part of the process. They're signs that you're actually doing something. You're stepping outside of the norm, and that's always going to feel a little uncomfortable at first. But the benefits, the payoff, is worth every ounce of discomfort. You get to be the version of yourself that feels empowered, clear-headed, and in control. So, the next time those cravings hit, when the social pressure starts to get to you, when you feel the weight of withdrawal, remember that all of this is temporary. What's waiting for you on the other side is a healthier, happier version of yourself, and that's worth fighting for. So the question is, are you ready to take that step? To push through the tough parts? To break free from the grip that sugar has on your life? I promise you, the other side is so much better than the battle itself. Quitting sugar. If you've made it this far, you're probably starting to understand the gravity of the decision. You've heard about the cravings, the mood swings, and the challenges, and maybe you're even starting to wonder, okay, how do I actually make this work? Because let's face it, just saying no more sugar isn't enough. It's like setting a New Year's resolution to go to the gym. Good intentions, but no real plan, and that's where most people stumble. So how do you actually quit sugar? How do you make it stick, even when the temptation is everywhere, and your body is still screaming for that sugary treat? Well, it's not going to be easy, but I promise it's worth it. What I want to do is walk you through some practical, doable strategies that will not only help you quit sugar, but also help you do it in a way that feels manageable and, dare I say, even enjoyable. First things first, let's talk about setting yourself up for success. If you've ever tried to quit anything before, you know it's way harder if your environment is working against you. So, the number one thing I recommend is to clear out your space. I know, it's probably the hardest part, but hear me out. If you want to be successful, it's so much easier to do that when the sugary temptations aren't lurking in every corner. Clean out the pantry, get rid of the candy in the kitchen drawer, and even ask your family or roommates to help you out. Trust me, you don't need to have those items around, and you definitely don't want them staring you in the face every time you open the fridge. It's about making it harder to reach for sugar, because here's the thing. When it's in your face, you're not just fighting cravings, you're fighting temptation. And fighting temptation when you're trying to quit something is like trying to swim against a strong current. You're setting yourself up for failure before you even start. But the environment thing doesn't just stop with the food in your kitchen. It extends to your routines too. Let's say you've got a habit of having a sugary snack in the afternoon. Maybe it's a chocolate bar with your coffee or a sugary yogurt. It's become part of your day, part of how you unwind, right? So, how do you break that cycle? You replace it with something else. And I'm not talking about just any random snack. I'm talking about something that can actually fill the need that sugar used to meet. This is about being strategic. You're not just cutting out sugar and hoping for the best. No, you're making conscious choices that help you feel better, not worse. For example, swap out that candy bar for something like a handful of nuts, or a piece of dark chocolate with a high cocoa content. If you're craving something sweet, but you know the sugar will just send you into a spiral, choose something that won't trigger the same blood sugar highs and lows. Or try a protein-packed snack to stabilize your energy levels. A boiled egg, or even a smoothie with protein powder, greens, and a little natural sweetness from fruit could become your go-to. It's all about finding that balance. You're filling the gap that sugar once filled, but in a way that supports your body, not sabotages it. And here's where the real magic happens: meal planning. This is a game changer when it comes to quitting sugar. If you don't already meal prep or plan your meals, now's the time to start. When you've planned out your meals for the week, you're not just preventing yourself from reaching for junk food, you're also setting yourself up to make better decisions. When you walk into the kitchen at 5 p.m., starving and exhausted from your day, and there's a healthy, prepared meal waiting for you, it's so much easier to pass on that sugary snack. You've already made the decision earlier, and now it's just a matter of following through. The mental load is lighter, and your energy is more focused on enjoying that meal rather than fighting off the urge to eat something that might make you feel good for 5 minutes, but terrible the rest of the night. Planning also gives you the freedom to be creative. You don't have to eat the same thing every day. You can experiment with sugar-free desserts made with natural sweeteners like stevia or monk fruit. You can make your own energy balls with dates and nuts that will give you a sweet treat without the sugar crash. This is about taking back control and showing yourself that quitting sugar doesn't mean sacrificing flavor or enjoyment. But listen, I'm not going to lie to you. This isn't going to be a quick fix. It's not about going cold turkey, unless that's your style. Some people can just drop sugar and never look back, but most of us, we need a gradual approach. Don't beat yourself up if you don't quit sugar in one fell swoop. It's about progress, not perfection. Maybe you cut out sugary drinks first, then desserts, then start making healthier choices for snacks. Slowly, you'll notice that the cravings start to lessen. They won't disappear completely, but they'll become more manageable. And you'll start to recognize patterns, like those moments when you're stressed and immediately think, I need chocolate. Once you recognize the pattern, you can break the cycle by choosing healthier options when you're stressed. Maybe it's a walk or a quick meditation session or even calling a friend. It's about building new habits, new coping mechanisms that don't rely on sugar. And here's the thing. While it's a challenge, it's also an opportunity. Quitting sugar isn't just about removing something from your life. It's about adding something back in. It's about adding more mindfulness to your day, being more intentional with your choices. It's about reconnecting with yourself and your body. And you'll be surprised at how powerful this shift can be. You'll find yourself getting more creative in the kitchen, you'll be experimenting with different types of foods, and you'll realize that you have the power to make better choices, not just for your body, but for your future health. There's also an emotional component to this. When you stop relying on sugar for comfort, you start to realize that there are other ways to comfort yourself. For some people, food becomes an emotional crutch, and we've all been there, right? You've had a long, tough day at work, or an argument with a friend, or just felt down about something. Sugar offers an easy escape, but when you quit, you begin to shift how you handle emotions. You start looking at other ways to deal with stress or sadness, or even boredom. It could be picking up a hobby you've let fall by the wayside. It could be taking a long walk to clear your head. It could even be journaling your thoughts and feelings to better understand what's going on inside. When you stop reaching for sugar as your emotional go-to, you start replacing it with things that actually serve your growth and well-being. And let's not forget about the power of community. There's something incredibly powerful about doing this together with others, or at least having support. Maybe it's a friend who's also trying to quit sugar, or a social media group of people on the same journey. Having that accountability, even if it's just someone to vent to when things get tough, can make all the difference. You're not alone in this, even though it may feel like it sometimes. There are people who are walking this path right alongside you, and they understand the struggles, the setbacks, and the victories. And the best part? You'll all be celebrating your wins together. Now, let's address the most important part, patience. This isn't something that happens overnight. There will be moments when you mess up. You'll slip, and that's okay. Because the real victory is in getting back up, brushing yourself off, and moving forward, one step at a time. Every day without sugar is a step closer to feeling better, healthier, and more in control. It's about progress. It's about showing yourself that you're capable of making changes for the better. It's about learning to trust yourself and your ability to create a healthier, more empowered version of you. So, how do you successfully quit sugar? You take it one day at a time. You plan your meals, you clear out the junk, you replace old habits with new ones, and you embrace the journey. The cravings won't last forever. The emotional moments will pass. And as time goes on, your body will thank you. You'll start to feel lighter, more energized, more vibrant. And when you look in the mirror, you won't just see the person who quit sugar. You'll see someone who took control of their health and created lasting positive change. And that, my friend, is the kind of victory that lasts a lifetime. So, as we wrap up this conversation, I want to take a moment to reflect on everything we've talked about. Quitting sugar is not just about a diet change or a quick fix. It's about rewiring how you think, how you feel, and ultimately, how you live. It's about making conscious decisions every day. And yes, it can be difficult at times. But if there's one thing I want you to walk away with, it's that the journey you're on is worth every bit of effort. Because the truth is, when you make the decision to stop letting sugar control you, you're taking back control of your life. You're choosing long-term health over short-term satisfaction. You're choosing to feel better, more energized, more clear-headed, and more in control of your own body. And that, my friend, is not just a win for your body. It's a win for your mind, your emotions, and your overall well-being. Think about it for a second. How many times have you felt that post-sugar crash? How many times have you indulged in something sweet, only to feel drained and sluggish an hour later? And that feeling, it's not just about the sugar, it's about what it does to you, what it takes away from you. Every time you give in to that craving, you lose a little bit of that clarity, that energy, that control. But when you say no, when you resist the urge and stand firm in your decision, that's when the real magic happens. I know it's tough. I know the cravings are real, and the temptation can be overwhelming. I get it. But what if you could push through that moment? What if you could just take a breath, remind yourself of why you started, and keep moving forward? What if you could break free from the cycle and embrace a life where you don't feel like you're constantly at war with your body and your cravings? It's not a pipe dream. It's within your reach, and you're capable of it. You've heard the stories, maybe from people you know, or maybe from online communities, of how quitting sugar has transformed lives. People have lost weight, regained energy, cleared up skin issues, even healed from chronic conditions. And it's not just about the physical transformations either. It's the emotional freedom that comes with knowing that you don't have to rely on something that was never meant to be in control of your life in the first place. It's about stepping into your own power, rediscovering what it feels like to have control over your choices, and realizing that the power has always been in your hands. But it's not going to happen overnight, and it's definitely not going to be easy. And that's where I want to leave you with something to think about as you move forward. Remember, this journey is about progress, not perfection. You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have days where you slip up, or where the cravings feel like they're too much to handle. But that doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't mean you've fallen off track. It means you're human. The key is getting back up, each and every time. Because every time you do, you're building momentum. You're reinforcing the decision to choose health. And that momentum, it gets easier to maintain as time goes on. Think about how much you've learned about yourself already. Every craving you've conquered, every temptation you've resisted, those are victories. They're small, quiet wins that are adding up to something much bigger. Over time, these wins will outweigh the occasional slip-up, and those small wins will start to shape your new identity. A person who doesn't need sugar to feel good, to feel happy, or to feel in control. So, let me ask you, what's the next step for you? What's the first thing you're gonna do now that you've heard all of this? It could be as simple as getting rid of that sugar jar in your pantry. It could be taking a walk instead of reaching for that sugary snack when you're stressed. It could be committing to meal prepping for the week, so you've got healthy, sugar-free options ready when the cravings strike. Whatever it is, I want you to start now. No more waiting, no more thinking, I'll start tomorrow, or maybe next week. Start now. Because the longer you put it off, the longer sugar gets to control your life. And you don't need that. If you're ready to take the first step to break free from the chains sugar has over you, I want you to think of this moment as a turning point, a decision, a commitment. You are capable of it, and every step you take from here is a step toward becoming the healthiest, happiest version of yourself. You're not just quitting sugar, you're reclaiming your life, your energy, and your well-being. And hey, I'm not gonna pretend like it's always going to be easy. There will be days when you want to throw in the towel, but if you've made it this far, you've already proven that you have the strength to go further. So take a deep breath, trust yourself, and know that you've got this. And whenever you're feeling unsure, just remember why you started. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about willpower, it's about transformation. Now, I want you to do something for me. I want you to share this episode with someone else who might be on the same path. Someone who needs that extra nudge, that reminder that they're not alone in this. Share it with a friend who's been talking about quitting sugar, or who you know could benefit from hearing this message. Let's create a community of people who are making positive changes, one step at a time. And I promise, as you go along this journey, there will be people cheering you on. You've got this. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode. I know there are a million things you could be doing right now, but you've chosen to spend your time here with me on this journey, and for that, I'm grateful. So now it's your turn. Take that first step, because your healthiest self is waiting for you. Let's make this journey together.